Hi guys, Erin here for a book-related video. Today I'm going to be doing a book questionnaire on different books I've read and so on and so forth. So let's get started. First question is, what is your favorite childhood book series or whatever? And when I was a kid, I was reading well past my grade level. So I was reading A Tale of Despereaux by Kate DiCamillo, and I was reading Robin Hood by Howard Pyle, and Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Those were my three favorite books in third grade, so I was 7 or 8 years old at the time. And even though I didn't understand the whole satanic ritual thing in Moby Dick when Captain Ahab baptized the spear to kill Moby Dick in Satan's name, where was I going with this? Anyway, it was just, I didn't understand that, but then as I read it later on in the years, I came to understand it. Okay, another question is, what is your favorite graphic novel series? Now, I read way more books than graphic novel series, but when I was in third grade, I also read the Bone series, which was really popular in the 90s. I forget if it was in the early 90s or the late 90s, but the series was called the Bone series by Jeff Smith, and that was about these three cousins that were bone creatures. They sort of reminded me of Casper from the Christmas movie or whatever. I mean, Casper the Ghost. These three cousins help this princess find out that she's really a princess. They go on adventures with her, and the ending is really sad. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I was crying at the end of it because I loved the series so much. I shipped Phone Bone and Princess Thorn, but oh my gosh, it was just so sad at the end, and I had to write an epilogue to make myself feel better, because when I read books or comic books or whatever, and they have a series that the ending of a series that I do not like or makes me cry, I write my own ending, so it's sort of like an epilogue thing. And my favorite genre to read is either fantasy or science fiction, which I totally love. So I've read the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas, and a ton of Star Trek books by different authors. My least favorite genre to read is the romance series, although I do have a bunch of Sarah Dessen novels. No insult to her, of course, because I do enjoy a few of her novels, even though it takes me forever to get through reading even one book. Seeing the Nancy Drew books up here, the next question is, do I prefer classic Nancy Drew mystery novels or modern mystery novels like James Patterson's books or Tess Gerritsen's books? I have to say that I think it depends on the book. I mean, The Hidden Staircase, that was a really good book. Secret of the Old Clock, that was a good book. But I also really like The Murder House by James Patterson, and I am obsessed with any book by Tess Gerritsen. I mean, I loved Die Again and The Mephisto Club, which is a mystery novel about a body that is found drained of all blood, so it's a whole satanic ritual thing. And even though I'm not satanic or anything, I still love that dark sort of feeling towards it, because it just makes for a better book. Also, what are some mainstream book sagas that I have read? I have read the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas, which is becoming more mainstream. Don't you think? Does that count? And about that, I have also emailed Sarah J. Maas to let her know that I am obsessed with her series. I love books. I want to be a writer when I'm older. I'm working on getting my first manuscript published, but that's going to take a while. So in the waiting time, as I find a literary agent, I'm reading. So I've already read half I've already read the entire Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I'm waiting for the next book to come out. And I'm halfway through the Throne of Glass series. That's going to take me a little while longer. What are some mainstream book series that I haven't read? Okay, this is actually a lot, because for some reason, whenever somebody reads a series that's almost violently popular, even though it's not violent at all, I don't generally read that. I read books that nobody's ever heard of. I don't know why, it's just that way sometimes. But I never finished reading the Twilight series. I never read the Percy Jackson series, although I have the books somewhere, whether it's on this bookshelf, bookshelves over here, or somewhere in my room. I also never finished reading the 50 Shades of Grey series. even though I have the first book and I want to see all the movies. And this might come as a shock to some people, considering I am like an avid fantasy fan, but I have never read the Game of Thrones series. And even though I've seen the entire TV series, I still haven't read the books. I mean, I don't know why, but there are just some other books that are on my to-be-read list that I need to finish, and I haven't read all the Nancy Drew novels, but I'm getting to that as I read the Court of Thorns and Roses series, the Throne of Glass series, the Shattered Realms series by Cindy Williams Chima. I could go on forever. Also, 3 different authors who I would love to spend breakfast, lunch, and dinner with. This question was so hard to think about because there are so many authors that mean so much to me after reading all the books that I've read. So, for starters, how can I not say Sarah J. Maas? I mean, she is my literary idol. I love her. And I want to be that type of author who you think is going to go one way with a book, and then you turn, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, I did not see that plot twist coming. Now, I do have a webpage called, on Quotev, that's just my name. It's like www.quotev/EarnRogoff. But on that site, I have fan fictions and short stories, and I have plot twists that nobody even thinks of. And I have had comments about, like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Not good on a Sarah J. Maas level, because she's, like, the queen of that. But back to the 2 other authors that I would love to spend breakfast, lunch, and dinner with are Michael Grant, author of the Gone series. In the Gone series, which I am obsessed with, there's Gone, Hunger, Lies, Plague, Fear, and Light. And then there's a trilogy series after that, but I only have the first book because the other 2 books are not published yet. But I would love to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Michael Grant just to get his mindset and what he thinks of his books and how he might plan out his next few books. But the one thing that I do not approve of is how he bashes my religion on Twitter. I follow all my favorite authors on Twitter, Instagram, all that social media, but none of them are as rude towards religion as Michael Grant. So I think we might not be best friends about that, because even though I'm not, like, overly religious, I mean, I still believe in God, but Michael Grant, he says that anybody who believes in God is like an idiot. I'm not even going to say what he said on Twitter, but it's ridiculous. And the 3rd author I would love to spend breakfast, lunch, and dinner with is Cindy Williams Chima. She wrote the Shattered Realms series, the Seven Realms series, the Shattered Realms series, and I can't remember what other series she wrote, but I have all of them. And I was hooked on the Demon King in the 7 Realms series, and I have all the other books, so I'm definitely going to be reading them later. But I have emailed Cindy Williams Chima several times telling her how much I love her books and just anything that a fan would say to their idol. So, oh my gosh, it's just like she's emailing me back, and I'm like, oh yes, this is like Christmas morning for a bookworm. For a book dragon, I should say, considering how many books I read. Anyway, that is my book questionnaire video for today. So, like, subscribe, comment, do your thing, and have a good day, everyone!